Hello everyone, welcome back to lesson 3 of JavaScript arrays for noobs. In our last lesson, we took a look at a very important array method called .map. And in fact, before we move to the lesson today, I wanted to just point something out about that. You can see that I've left the .map stuff up here. In this callback function, you see I've only given one parameter here, which is city. There are often multiple parameters. And I showed that in the .forEach method, but I just wanted to point out that very frequently the second parameter is the index of the array. So again, I'll just do console log index here, and let's not even so we're not calling a function, so I don't need to explicitly do that. I'll just run this over here, and you can see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 were console logged. So I just wanted to point that out. I don't always show you the full gamut of the signature of the callback function, but very frequently the second argument is index, and very frequently the third is the array itself. Although in one lesson from today, we'll see a counterexample of that. But keep that in mind. Now, today's lesson, we're going to take a look at another great JavaScript array method called filter. And filter lets us pick out certain elements of our array that meet a certain criteria and put them into a new array. Now, I'm first going to do the thing that we've done in the first two lessons, which is to write a custom function to do that. And this will probably be the last lesson that I do this, but I just really want to reinforce to you that all of these array methods are based on the for loop. So let's here write a function called filter array. This is going to take a parameter called array. And again here, thinking about that step 1, 1, 2, 3 process that I told you about in the last lesson, I'm going to write let filtered array equal an empty array. And just down here, I'm going to return that filtered array. And now here is going to go the for loop. And I'm going to sound like a broken record, but there's 3 things that go here. They're almost always the same. Let I equal 0, I less than the array dot length, I plus plus, and then very importantly, here is our important line that is going to be the current element, or in this case, the const current city equals array indexed at I. So we're set up for success here, okay? Now, what do we want to do here? Well, we want to decide, is this current city going to be a part of the filtered array? And I didn't really define a goal at the beginning of this, but let's do that now. Let's say that we wanted only cities with populations of greater than 10 million, all right? So what we could do here is say if current city dot population greater than 10, then we'll push it onto the filtered array. Let's not, we do nothing, right? Dot push current city. All right, let's now call this function. So we'll say const, we'll call these big cities, right? Equals filter array. And the argument here is going to be our cities array. Let's see what happens when we console log big cities. Look, we only have 3. We only have 3 cities in our array, and they are in fact these big cities with populations of greater than 10. Of course, we can put whatever we want for a condition here in the if statement. Since we did population last time, let's change this, okay? Let's say we want to find cities that are not in the United States. So let's say if current city dot country not equal to USA, then we'll push it onto the array, the filtered array, and here we'll call this. I'm going to be US centric here and say foreign cities. I know they're not foreign cities if you live there, but they are to me. So foreign cities, okay. And let's go ahead and see what that is. We have Vienna, Lagos, Tokyo, Sao Paulo, and not New York City and not Los Angeles. So this is working well, but again, we're using a custom function here and we don't really want to do that. We've seen in the last 2 lessons that there's a better way of doing that using the JavaScript's native array methods. And so again, I'll comment out this function and move it down. And we're going to go ahead and use the JavaScript array method. So this is going to look very similar to .map. .map modified the elements in an array and created a new array. Note, if we think back to that our cities array had 6 elements in it, 6 cities, and so did the result of the .map function. Here with filter, that's not necessarily going to be the case. But nonetheless, what we want to do is have a constant or a variable of any sort. Well, I'll make it a constant this time. And I'll call this foreign cities. And then remember, to the right of the equal sign is always the same syntax, the name of the array dot the name of the method. So this is going to be cities dot filter. And here we have a callback function, and you'll start to see a pattern here. The first parameter in the callback function is a reference to the individual element in the array. So I'm going to write city. Now, index is available to me. It's not interesting to me now, so I'm not going to write that. I'll come back in a second and show you how you could use index here. Okay, so we want to make our callback function here. And what we want to do here is we're going to either return true or false based on whether or not we want that city to be in the array. So in the filtered array. I'm going to show you kind of a longish way of doing it. And then I'll show you some shorter syntax, all right? So let's first write it like this. If city dot country, let's write it like this, equals USA, return false, else return true. All right, let's console log foreign cities and see what gets in our output here. And you can see we have the same 4 cities. Now, I already like this syntax more. You might say, it's almost as many lines as our function. Well, it's not a competition to write code in the fewest number of lines, but I will show you how to do that now. But I often write in code like this because I think it's just really obvious what's happening. You can just read this very easily. If the country of the city is USA, it does not get into the filtered array. If else, it does. Very easy to see. But we can write this in a more sort of economical way. And so we can write it like this. You can actually just write return city.country equals USA question mark, and this is what's called a ternary statement in JavaScript. Very useful and cool. All right, so it's asking you a question. If this country of this city is equal to USA, what would you like the value of the expression to be? And this is going to be false, right? And then you have a fallback shown by a colon, which means if the country of the city is not USA, what should the value be? And that will be, of course, true, right? And so now let's go over here and see if we get the same output. In fact, we do. If you don't like the question mark false true, you can write it like this. See how this is going to be the same thing, right? Because it's saying if the country of the city is not USA, then the value is true. If not false. It just depends on how you think it's more simple. All right. So we're really down to just 3 lines, but we can do even better. Oh, first I have to prove to you that this worked, right? So there you go. There's our 4 foreign cities. We can actually do even better than this. When you have this arrow function and you open up curly braces, you're into what I would call a normal function. Which means if you want to return something, you have to explicitly use the word return. If you have a one-liner like this, you can do what's called a short circuit return. I'm just going to cut this part without the word return, get rid of the word return, and then actually get rid of the curly braces because I don't need a body of the function, and just paste that right here. And this arrow without curly braces means we're immediately going to the return statement. It's also called I think it's called a short circuit return or something like this. Watch how this works. Okay, see, same thing. So we've gone from 2 steps ago, we had curly braces, if, else with 2 conditional returns. Then we used ternary, and then we brought it up into 1 line. So now what used to be this whole long filter array is literally just 1 line, right? So let's not, however, forget about that second parameter / argument, which is index. Let's say that you only, I'm not sure exactly why you would want to do this, but let's say that you only wanted the last 3 cities. All right, so you could say, I don't know, later cities, I guess, later cities. All right, then you could just write the same test here. Let's write it like this: index greater than 2, ternary, true, else, colon, false. Right? And that's not how you spell false. Let's see what gets in our output here. Whoops. I didn't save it after I fixed the problem. Right? Okay, you can see Tokyo, Sao Paulo, and Los Angeles, the last ones, right? Now, actually, we can do even a little bit better than this if the index greater than 2 or simplifies to a Boolean anyway, so you don't need a question mark ternary. You can actually just write it like this. You can see what the output is there, right? You can see here that city is actually not being used. You can see it's a little gray there. You actually could, if you want to really indicate that it's not being used, you can actually go ahead and write that. Remember that there's no, and this will still work. There's no rule about what this variable needs to be called. We call it city because city is the singular of cities. Or more accurately, cities is the plural of city. That's why we called it the cities array. But this object is a city, but you can call it whatever you want. And sometimes if variables are not being used, but they still need to be sort of registered or defined because index is the second argument, not the first, you'll see people writing a underscore there. Okay, so dot filter takes a callback with the similar signature to dot map, but it serves a different purpose. Dot map modifies each element of the array and makes a new array. And filters or decides should this element be in the new array or should it be out. Thank you for joining me today. And in our next lesson, we'll look at how to order elements in arrays.